Hey guys, welcome to the garden. Today we are doing some soil testing. So I wanted to take you along and show you how to use one of these rapid test soil test kits. So I bought this last year and I've used this before. It is an easy way to test your soil. I strongly encourage you to test your soil, especially if you are using new raised beds, or if you're in a new space, or if your plants last year were just a little bit lackluster, maybe. Do a soil test. Now, I have in the past done like a real soil test through a lab, and I did that when we moved here 4 years ago, and it was great. It gave me a ton of information, and it was easy to do, and it was, I think the one I did was around $20, but it was great. I used a place called A&L Great Lakes Labs. It's in northern Indiana. I'm in Indiana, so that is, that's who I used. I strongly encourage you to get a hold of your local extension office, because they will typically offer soil testing through either a local lab, or they'll send it out for you, and you may even be able to get the test bags that you use to send them in from them. So check out your extension office, do a soil test. It will help you so much with your soil and making sure things are where they need to be, you know? So I'm gonna do some soil testing today. I have 4 jars here that I filled with soil, and I took some clips of me getting the soil. I'll put those in. So basically what I did was what you want to do is you want to take a clean container. So I just use pint jars, something with a lid. So I have these plastic screw-on lids that I use, and you want to go a few inches below the surface of the soil to get the soil for your test. You don't want to use what's right on the top. You want to use the soil that your plants are going to be growing in, so where those roots are going to be. So I dug a hole 2 to 3 inches down with a clean trowel, not a nasty caked on trowel. I did use the same trowel for all 4 of the beds I did, but it was clean when I started. So I took samples from all 4 of my large oval raised beds, just because some of them have compost, some of them don't have compost. One of them is all compost, one of them is half compost, and one of them's all bagged soil. You know, it's just a mixture out there. So I did all 4 beds, and I labeled the lids with which one they were, so I knew which bed I was working with. So that's what I have here are my 4 jars. I did this earlier this morning and put them in here. So they've been in these jars for a few hours. You want your soil not to be sopping wet when you do this. So I'm actually just going to stir these around a little bit. I just have a spoon from the kitchen that I'm stirring these with, because I don't have a trowel small enough that'll fit in here and let me stir. So I'm just going to stir these up a little. They are pretty dry. Nothing in here is like sopping wet. I just spilled soil all over myself. Ugh. Annoying. So you're also going to want to pull out any like rocks or anything that you see. Anything big, pull that out. You don't want that to be in your soil when you test it. I'm just throwing stuff in my landscaping that's like right over here. So yeah, you just want to mix it around. Make sure it's not sopping wet. If it is, you're going to want to wait until it dries out. So you can either I've like put it on a paper plate before and let it dry. You just want it to be a little bit on the drier side. That way because you're going to add water to it and make a solution essentially. So to give these all a little mix. So when you buy one of these kits, I think I probably got this either at Lowe's or Menards, or you can get them on Amazon too. It comes with a whole bunch of these little capsules, and that's how you actually do the soil test. And this comes with 40 tests. So it'll tell you up here how many it comes with. This one came with 40. So what you're going to do is clean up after yourself. because you made a mess, you know? Okay. So this one tests for nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, and I have a pH kit in here as well. So it also, this one, I like this one a lot. I'll see if I can find this like on Amazon and put a link to it. It works well, and I've never had a problem with it. It comes with this little plant pH preference list that lists all the pHs for different plants, all sorts of different things. Trees, shrubs, flowers, house plants, turf, grasses, roses, hydrangeas. I mean, it even tells you which pH you need to get your hydrangea to be blue versus pink, because, you know, you can fudge that a little. This is great. So when you get this, you're going to open this part up, and this is the instructions. So it also gives you fertilizer recommendations in here as well. So you can read through all of these things, but on the back it gives you the instructions. So basically what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do here, and I have these all labeled with an Expo marker on the lid. These lids, I like these. These are just plastic. They don't have a gasket or anything in them. I got these at Walmart, but they screw on here, and you can write on them with a dry erase marker, and it comes right off. So this is for my first bed closest to the greenhouse. And then I did the other 3 farthest away from the greenhouse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this jar, and this has about a cup of soil in it. Okay, so I have my jar. I got a 1/4 cup measuring cup, because what you want to do, and I should have read this before I came out here with all my stuff. So you are going to put 1 part soil to 5 parts water. So what I'm going to do, I have a bucket down here. I have a cup of soil about whereabouts in here, and I don't need all this. So I'm going to pull out about a 1/4 cup of my soil here, right? And then I'm going to dump the rest of this in my bucket, because I don't need it. So that just goes to show you that when you do things, you should read the directions fully before you do something. Okay, so I'm going to take my 1/4 cup, and I'm going to put that back in the jar, okay? So now it says to use, for best results, use bottled or distilled water. So I just have some bottles of water out here that I'm going to use. And I've done this with just regular water, tap water, but I have these, and they've been cold, and then they cooled up, they warm back up. So I'm just going to use these. So I'm going to do 1 1/4 cups of water, because it's 1 part soil to 5 parts water. So that means 1 scoop of soil and 5 scoops of water. Okay, so now I have my water in here, and then you are going to shake or stir this. And I usually do both. I give it a little stir, right? And then I put my lid back on, and I shake it. Just like you're shaking an iced coffee. I mean, that's just how I shake my iced coffee, I guess. Now this is just for the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash. If you're doing pH, you actually put the soil in the pH tester, but I'm not doing pH today. I'm just going to do the other 3. So this is what we're going to do. We let it sit until this settles. So see how this is like nice and dark? We have to let this sit until everything settles. It could take 30 minutes to 24 hours, dependent on soil, it says. And then it says a fine clay soil will take much longer to settle out than a coarse sandy soil. The clarity of the solution will also vary. The clearer the better. However, cloudiness will not affect the accuracy of the test. So I'm going to let this sit. I know which bed it came from because it has its lid. And I'm going to repeat the process. So here's all my jars. They all look like this right now. So they're really dark. So we're just gonna let these sit, and we're gonna come back to them and just kind of see what they look like, and we will go from there. Okay, we are back. It has been about 3 hours since we put these together, and they're not all the way clear, but you can see, I think you can see that with the sun in it, that they're very much more clear than they were. So this will be fine. They don't need to be completely clear. If they're cloudy, it's okay. So basically what you do next is you get this little dropper thing and you figure out which ones you're doing. So we are doing N, P, and K, right? So we have our 3 little capsule, or 3 little containers. Sit these out. And then you have your capsules that go with them. So you can see that they're the same color as the test container. Blue goes with blue, purple goes with purple, orange goes with orange, right? Okay, so what you're gonna do, and we're gonna have to do these all separately. So you take the top off of each one, like this. Okay, so you have all 3 of your test containers here. You are going to take your little dropper thingy, and we're going to start with the first one. So we're going to open this up, and we are going to take some liquid, and we're going to fill it up to, there's a little dotted line on each one. So you are just going to do this dropper thing until you get it filled up. Okay. Hello, I have a friend up here now. Can you get down? Please? Please get down. Thank you. All right, so then you take the corresponding capsule. These are capsules. You take one of these and you gently open it up. And you dump it in the container. Now I missed a little bit, but that's okay. And then you put the lid on like this, and they kind of just snug in there, and then you shake it. Okay, so you shake it up. It's just gonna look like this. And then you let it sit for 10 minutes. So we're gonna put these in here, let them sit for 10 minutes, and we'll come back and look to see what they all look like. And if you see any like big chunks floating around in there, just shake it again. All right, so we're gonna let those sit for 10 minutes and we will come back and read our results. So we are done with this jar. I'm actually gonna go grab some soil from my blueberries and do a pH test, and I'll show you how to do this as well. Okay, so for the pH test, this one is a little different because you actually put soil in this thing versus the others, you just make a solution. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna open this up, and on the bottom, there's a line that says fill with soil. So you need to put soil in it to that line. So I'm just gonna use this spoon. And this is for my blueberry bed. I actually just planted a couple more blueberry plants, and I obviously had to acidify the soil. I just have some acid mix fertilizer that I use, but I had noticed that the leaves were turning a little red. So I added more acid mix, but I'm gonna go ahead and do a pH test just to kind of see what we're dealing with. So I filled this up. I probably put too much in, but I couldn't get it all the way down in there. So I'm gonna say it's fine. So all we have to do now is add water to this. Okay, add water. Okay. I was wrong. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of these green capsules. So these green ones are for the pH test. I'm gonna take one of these green ones and I'm going to put it in here. Oh, I got it all in there. Look at me. I didn't even spill any. Okay, and then I add water up to this top line. Okay, I put too much in. It's okay. It's fine. It's really fine. Okay, so then we put the lid on and shake it. Just like the others, you shake it. But this one, we're only gonna let sit for about a minute. And then we just wait for it to turn color. So according to this little chart that comes with it, blueberries like 4 to 6, which is what I thought. About 5 is what we're looking for. So we're gonna let that settle. And what I'm looking for here is this orange. This is what I'm looking for, is like this orangey range. So we'll see how we do. It's looking pretty green. Okay, so our pH test is about done. And you're not supposed to look at it in direct light. You're supposed to look at it more in just daylight. So let's see if I can shade this a little bit. So according to my eyeballs, it looks pretty high. It looks like it's about a 7, and I really need it to be down to about a 5. So I don't know if you can even see how green that is. So that makes me feel, that lets me know that I need to add more of that acid mix to my soil. And I don't know if maybe it hadn't, you know, it hadn't come out yet and it hadn't gone through the soil, but that's a pretty good indicator that I need to add more of that acid mix to my soil. Okay, so we are about at 10 minutes on our NPK test. So here's what we're looking like. And this is from bed 1, which is the closest to the greenhouse, which is the one that's just full of compost. So it looks like our nitrogen is good. Plenty of nitrogen in there, probably because it is all compost. There's a ton of nitrogen in that bed. That's good. Phosphorus looks like there's none. So that is something that we could add to that bed, because it didn't turn blue at all. And then the potash looks like there's plenty. So we really need to just add some phosphorus to this first bed. So that's good to know. So that lets me know that I need to add phosphorus to my first bed closest to the greenhouse. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to repeat this. I'm going to dump all these out and I'm going to repeat this process. So knowing what I know now, what am I going to do in this first garden bed? I'm going to add phosphorus. And there's a bunch of different ways you can do that. There's specific things you can buy that are just phosphorus. And that's probably what I will end up doing. I actually may even have some somewhere already that I can use. So I'm just going to repeat this process for my other 3 beds. And we're just going to kind of see where that ends up. The pH on my blueberries definitely needs to be adjusted. It definitely looks pretty high. So I need to do something about that as well. I got some blueberry plants at Menards, the ones that come in like the little box. They had them on sale. So I put them in one of my raised beds, the tall ones, and it is easier to acidify your soil when it's in an enclosed space and you're not working in the ground. So that should be a relatively easy fix to acidify that soil a little. And we're just going to get these beds all situated so that way we have a good garden year. And this is something that I encourage you to do every year, maybe. Just it's easy. These are cheap. These test kits are cheap. Like I said, you get a ton of little capsules. I think it comes with 10 of each one. And I think you can just buy the capsules as well from this company. So I highly suggest you look at some sort of soil testing. I know for pH, you don't have to do this. You can buy like a probe that you stick in and it tells you the pH, which I actually may do that for my blueberries just so I can get a better idea of what I'm working with. So that's soil testing. It's not hard. Follow the instructions that comes with it and you will be all set. I do suggest that you get a real soil test from a real lab at least once, just so you can get a better idea of what's in your soil, what needs to be added, what's depleted, just what you're missing. And they'll give you feedback on what they suggest you add as well. And that can be really helpful, especially if you're starting in a new space, or maybe you are switching to raised beds, or you're just having trouble. Do a soil test. It can really help you figure out what's going on in your garden and how to improve it. So that's going to do it for me for tonight. I'm going to do the rest of these soil tests and just enjoy this beautiful evening outside. So thank you so much for joining me out here tonight, and I will see you in the next one.